What is a pedigree and how we can analyze a pedigree? Are these questions arising in your mind? Then this video is a definite answer of your questions. So watch the video till the end. So welcome back to a new video of AVIJIT'S Biology, and in this video I am going to discuss about the pedigree analysis. So first of all, we have to know what is pedigree. So a pedigree is a genetic representation of a family tree that diagrams the inheritance of a trait or a disease through several generations. Means by observing a pedigree chart, you can know how a particular characteristics is inherited through generations and how a disease is spread through generations. Means we can know the type of inheritance of that disease or the trait. Now I will discuss about how we can make a pedigree chart. A rectangle symbol is used to represent a male and a circle symbol is used to represent a female. Now a line between male and female represents their mating, and this is how we can show parents and their offsprings. Here the offsprings are one boy and one girl, and the offsprings are shown according to their birth order. Means in this chart it shows that the first offspring of the parents is the girl and the second offspring is a boy. Now this dark rectangle and dark circle represents the affected individuals, and this is how we can express the dizygotic non-identical twins, and this is how we can express monozygotic identical twins. This symbol shows the sex unspecified individual, and this symbol shows the death of the individual. Now I will show you the numbering of the offsprings. So first of all, here after mating of one male and female, two offsprings are generated. The first one is a girl and the second one is a boy. And in this generation, when this male mates with a female, they produce four offsprings. The first one is a girl, second one is a boy, third one is a boy, and the last one is a girl. So we have to give the numbers to the offsprings from left side to right side. Another point to be remembered in the pedigree analysis is the number of generations. So we have to give generation number also. So we will write this generation as 1, this generation as 2, and this generation as 3. So we have to give number to the generations from upper to lower. Now I will discuss about different types of inheritance which can be analyzed through pedigree. First of all is the autosomal inheritance. Means this type of inheritance passes through autosomes. This type of inheritance can be of two types. One is autosomal dominant and another one is the autosomal recessive. Now let's discuss about the autosomal dominant inheritance. Here, affected individuals must carry at least one dominant allele. Here, unaffected parents will never produce affected offspring unless a mutation occurs. A new mutation occurs actually. An affected individual must have at least one parent with the trait. And here, the most interesting thing is the two affected parents may produce non-affected child. This is the very important characteristics of autosomal dominant inheritance. And in autosomal dominant inheritance, there is no generation skip. Means if there is a disease in generation 1, then it must be in generation 2 and it must be in generation 3, like that. And these are some examples of autosomal dominant inheritance. Now next one is the autosomal recessive inheritance. Here affected individuals are homozygous recessive, and the most interesting characteristics of autosomal recessive inheritance is the unaffected parents can have affected offsprings. And all progeny from two affected parents are always affected. And for an affected offspring from unaffected parents, both parents need to be carriers. Like heterozygous, they will be heterozygous. And these are some examples of autosomal recessive inheritance. Now next one is the X-linked inheritance. This type of inheritance passes through the X chromosome. This type of inheritance can also be X-linked dominant and X-linked recessive. So first of all, the X-linked dominant characteristics. For X-linked dominant inheritance, affected males always pass the trait to all daughters and never to their sons. As we know, the X chromosome of male passes to their girl and the Y chromosome passes to their boy. And in X-linked dominant inheritance, an affected individual must have at least one affected parent, and the affected females are usually heterozygous. Now next one is the X-linked recessive. In this type of inheritance, affected females produce only affected sons. And in this type of inheritance, criss-cross inheritance can be observed. For example, affected males and females alternate among generations. Means if a boy in the first generation is affected and then in the third generation a male will be affected and there will be no affected boy in the second generation. In X-linked recessive inheritance, none of the progeny of affected male show the phenotype unless mother is a carrier or affected. All daughters of affected male are carriers, means heterozygotes. Daughter will show phenotype only if both mother and father have the allele. Means if the daughter is able to get the affected X chromosome from mother and the affected X chromosome from father, then she will obviously affected. Affected females pass the allele to all their sons because the sons only get the X chromosome from their mother. So if a mother is affected, then the son will obviously affected. Heterozygous female pass the allele to half of their sons and half of their daughters. These are the characteristics of X-linked recessive, and these are the examples of X-linked recessive inheritance. Now next one is the Y-linked inheritance. In this case, fathers transmit to all their sons but to none of their daughters, as only boys can have the Y chromosome from their father, and if the Y chromosome is affected, then the son will obviously be affected. Now let us analyze this pedigree. So for analyzing this pedigree, we have to give the number of generations. So this is the first generation, this is the second, and this is the third, and this is the fourth generation. And the dark rectangle or the dark circle shows the affected individual, and the other are non-affected or they can be carriers. So we have to detect what type of inheritance is it. So one thing we have to remember at the time of pedigree analysis, the sex bias. Means if the number of affected male or females are approximately same, means if there is 4 affected male and if there is 4 affected female, or there is 4 affected male or 3 affected females, like that, we can say the inheritance is the autosomal inheritance. And if there is any sex bias, like if there is 4 males are affected and 1 females are affected, and if there is 5 females are affected and 2 males are affected, then we can say this is X-linked inheritance. Now we have to count the number of affected males. So there is 1, 2, 3, 6 males are affected and 5 females are affected. So we can easily say that it is an autosomal inheritance. Now we have to find out if it is dominant or recessive. In this case, in this second generation, 2 offsprings are affected, but their parents, their father is affected but mother is unaffected. And we can also see that in the third generation there are 3 offsprings are affected and 1 offspring is unaffected, and their parents is one of their parents is affected and one of their parents is unaffected. But in the fourth generation, we can see there are 2 unaffected offsprings and 1 affected offsprings. But see that their parents are both affected, and this type of characteristics is only shown by the autosomal dominant inheritance. For the second generation, we can see there are two offsprings are affected, as they have at least one affected parent. So this is also the characteristics of autosomal dominant inheritance. So we can easily tell that this is the autosomal dominant inheritance, and this is how we can analyze a pedigree. In the next video, I will discuss about other examples of pedigree analysis. So thank you for watching the video. Please like the video and share the video, and please subscribe my channel if you have not subscribed yet. So we'll meet you in the next video. Thank you.